Welcome, my beautiful loves. In this video, I'm going to talk about a very potent subject. It is about fear, because fear is known by everyone who lives on this earth, and we know fear in all different forms and shapes and possibilities. Fear is almost like this fuel that we're living off. Sometimes you might say, no, Kate, it's not true. I am happy. But if you will go dive deeper, most of our choices, if we're living unaware life, most of our choices and decision, if you dive deeper, if you go really why you've made those choices, they're actually coming because there is a fear underneath. And in this video, I will show you the 4 points of power when you're actually experiencing a fear. And in one sentence, what I like to say that this is my view. I see a fear as, like, in one word, it is a lie. It is not true. And later on, I tell you what really fear is in my eyes. And after that, I will take you through a process that you can tangibly experience what we're doing in our mind and what is available for you in that moment of fear. Okay, and I will give like some maybe 1 or 2 examples how the mind is operating in a moment of fear. And okay, let's go. And first, I want to say that the moment, actually, what fear is. Fear is a byproduct of conditioned mind. The mind who wants to survive means it is not like evil, that it wants to scare you. No, it is overprotective system that when something is happening, the mind wants to create a meaning instantly to know what is going on, to give you the sense, okay, I'll have to find out more. If I know more, I'm safer, which is really a lie. Because what it does, it gives the sense of busyness, you searching, doing research, just wanting to know more, but really the mind is just accelerating more and more to the speed, to worries, to overthinking and all of that. And this is what fear is. But as I said, this is just the protective mechanism, but you don't have to live out of that surviving mechanism to be having that protective layer in every aspect of your life. And at least to be aware what else is possible if I'm not wearing that protective layer. Let's go. The first thing is the fear reveals identification. It shows in a moment where you fuse with a story. Means, for example, if you have a fear experiences, for example, you receive a bill and you don't have money, what the mind is doing, the mind is already starting to make a meaning out of the data that you have received. There is a bill, and this is what came to you. But the mind wants to create the future pace scenario. If I don't pay, I don't have this money, they will, cut the power off. I won't be able to buy, something else. And this bill looked too big for me. I never paid such a big bill. Anything will be coming to you. But I won't be explaining more. This is what the mind does. But the good news in that, when the fear reveals identification, for the awareness who is watching this, is important to see that I am merging from the identity of fear. Okay? The moment you notice that this is what I'm doing, is just the awareness. Means you're already not that fueled, fearful, reactive. You already see this, okay, I'm seeing what I'm doing. I'm merging from the fear. Number 1 means the number 2 is like the moment the fear creates for you a choice point. When you notice, okay, I'm already fearing, there is a fear coming, you notice this. And once you notice that, you are no longer fully inside. This is just such a power, because once you pull yourself out by noticing, simply, emerging from the fear personality, because the mind is trying to make the meaning of something. Now, the second is a point of choice, means, you are no longer that fear. This is very powerful. You step out from that. You observe it. You kind of that observer. And then the next one is the fear is a point to the power underneath, because that protective mind, when something comes, like for example the data, and just attach more and more stories. I have only a certain time to pay. What's gonna be? I'm just giving you that example. But once you actually shift from that moment of when you sort of seeing what the mind wants you to do, it is usually something quite potent underneath. You're just receiving, something what you might receiving in a larger, better way. Means if you don't go that direction of that fear, something else is waiting for you. And later on, I show you what it looks like and how to do it. But now I'm just stepping those points. And number 4 is the fear is the portal out of repetition. Now, probably you already know how we're creating repetition. When the fear appears and the mind starts to make the story, and the story, the meaning, the stories become so aggressive because they're coming with urgency and fear, this nervousness, means the condition is totally taking your attention, your creative power, and is stuck, and you believe this is who I am. But if you already, if you know already those points now, you understand this is the moment when you see one thing. Okay, this is the data, and means, I don't have the bill, and you see the stories and you're not engaging more with those stories, and you're stepping out into the seat of your wholeness behind your spine to be able to really see and take action from that sense of wholeness. Means, after all my speech, obviously speaking does not give you the power, but this is just some information. And now I would love to take you through the practice. And I'll go through one tangible experience, what most of us have experienced in life, which is probably relationship. And before then, let's take a little break. Find your comfortable position. You can sit down or lie down, whatever is good for you, and close your eyes. Take 3 deep centered breaths. And now, just relax a little bit your jaw, your shoulders. Just let go of the gripping. Relax your stomach. Just feel like you're sinking into the seat, or maybe into the bed where you are now. And now I want you to bring the moment when you fear, maybe just recently, where you were fearing mostly. And I will give you an example. As I said, based on relationship. For example, for myself, I was expecting to be invited, but no one called me. And then a few days after, I know everyone were there, but I wasn't there. And in that moment, I want you to see, for example, whatever was fearful for you. To me, the data, the information is they didn't call me. But look what is happening. What is the mind trying to do out of that didn't call me? I say to myself, how could they forget about me? And then must be something wrong with me. Maybe they think I'm silly or dumb. This is disrespectful. Who I am. Probably I'm unworthy. And I want you to find in your fearful moment what you're telling yourself about what is, the data. Maybe that was the bill. Maybe that was, some information about your health. Whatever you felt, that fear. Mm-hmm. Don't fight with that. Just be simple, like a scientist, analytical person who is saying the data. Like in my case, they didn't call me, and anything wants to get latched into that story is the mind protective system trying to make story to make me safe, to find explanation, whatever, the sense of, yeah, I know everything and I find my own justice. But I want you to just be fully aware of the data, means they didn't call me, and see what else your mind is creating based on your own experience. Okay. And now, my love, when you could already separate those two things, the data, and you see the stories, the meaning the mind is just so desperate to create, to hold your attention in that moment. It shows you the urgency that moment you just have to, be here because it's so important, because it's so unsafe. You're able to just separate those two things. And now I want you to step into your seat, behind your spine, almost like you leaning, when you go into your spine, you're leaning like when I'm sitting here, I'm leaning into the wall, like I'm kind of leaning out there, kind of behind my heart, behind my spine. I want you to step there. And notice what shifted for you. What is different? And from that space, I want you to look back into that fear. And take that data only. Whereas there is no meaning attached, just the data, almost like an object. Remember, that object is in you, is in your field, but is not you. And now, from the seat of that wholeness, the totality, sovereignty, fullness, I want you to take nice, smooth action that would be purely aligned with that data. In my case, they didn't call me. I will just go and walk with myself peacefully in a park. And I want you to find one thing. It is not to that action, it has to be aligned with your neutrality of that data, not to compensate the data. That's a two different distinction. You're virtually doing something for your soul, what your soul wants to do in that moment. Because you already whole. Remember, in that seat, you're already whole. If you start taking action with compensating that feeling, it means you're engaging with the identity. But here, you just take action that be purely aligned with just that data. For example, if that was something to do with your health, maybe you've got some symptoms and you worry, or the doctor said something, you just maybe make another appointment without making story out of it. Just make another appointment. Maybe do a blood test, maybe do some other stuff without meaning. For example, with money, with the bill, maybe you can just find another option to pay later or pay in portion. And I want you to just think, when you're taking aligned action from that wholeness, based on the data, not on the meaning what the mind wants to make, you making the step from your wholeness. And this is what is going to be reflected back to you. The stuckness is when we keep repeating the same pattern over and over by compensating from not enoughness. Okay, my love, this is it for today. Open your eyes and share in comments, how did you go? How did you find? And if you have something what is bothering you and you're fearing that fear, and that fear is you're thinking is there all the time, the moment you start communicating and wrestling with fear have no power over you. You absolutely, I can't say how many times stronger than fear. You can do so many different things. Knowing the fear is there, but it's not you. Lots of love, beautiful. See you with the next video. Bye for now. And one more thing, if you want to have some work done, if you're experiencing any repeating patterns, if you overthink, if you worry too much, you know how to find me, and I can offer you break loop session, and I'll be very lovingly guiding you out of that. Lots of love.